The phone call that would unravel Emma Carter's entire reality came at exactly 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in October. She would remember that detail later, the precision of it, how the glowing numbers on her nightstand seemed to burn into her retinas as her phone vibrated across the wooden surface, harsh and insistent in the darkness. Emma's first thought, still half submerged in sleep, was that someone had died. That's what 3 a.m. phone calls meant. Death. Emergency. The kind of news that couldn't wait for morning. Her second thought, when she saw the name on the screen, was that she was losing her mind. The caller ID read, Sarah Mobile. Sarah, her sister. Her younger sister, who had been dead for 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days. Emma's hand hovered over the phone, trembling. The rational part of her brain, the part that worked as a data analyst, that lived in spreadsheets and logic, screamed that this was impossible. A glitch. Someone's sick joke. A recycled number that somehow still carried her dead sister's name in her contacts. But she answered anyway. Hello? Nothing. Just the hollow sound of an open connection, and something else. Breathing? No, not breathing. Something rhythmic and electronic, like a recording being played at the wrong speed. Hello? Who is this? The line went dead. Emma sat in the darkness of her bedroom, heart hammering against her ribs, staring at her phone like it was a grenade. The rain continued its steady assault on her window. The thunder rolled closer. And then the notification appeared. New voicemail from Sarah Mobile. Her fingers shook as she pressed play. At first, there was only static, the hiss and pop of a bad connection. Then, cutting through the interference, a voice. Distorted, fragmented, but unmistakably, impossibly, Sarah's voice. Emma, if you're hearing this, they're already watching you. Don't trust the memories. Don't trust what you think you know about that night. I didn't drown, Emma. Emma dropped the phone. For a long moment, she couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The words echoed in her skull, each syllable carving deeper into her sense of reality. I didn't drown. But Sarah had drowned. 3 years ago. Labor Day weekend at Lake Thornton. The official report said she'd gone swimming alone at night, probably drunk, and never came back. They found her body 2 days later, waterlogged and pale, caught in the reeds near the old marina. Emma had identified the body herself. She had buried her sister. With shaking hands, Emma picked up her phone and played the voicemail again. And again, and 17 more times as the rain hammered her window and the sky began to lighten with a gray, reluctant dawn. Each time, the message was the same. Each time, it was impossible. Each time, it was Sarah's voice. I didn't drown, Emma. By the time the sun rose, or what passed for sunrise behind the wall of storm clouds, Emma had made a decision. She would find out who was doing this. Who would be cruel enough to weaponize her grief? Who had access to recordings of Sarah's voice? She had no idea that by making that decision, she had just activated a countdown. Or that she had exactly 72 hours before the second voicemail would arrive. And that one would be so much worse. Emma didn't go to work that day. She called in sick, which was true enough. She felt sick, hollowed out, like someone had reached into her chest and rearranged her organs. Instead, she sat at her kitchen table with her laptop, 3 cups of coffee going cold beside her, and started digging into the past. Sarah's social media accounts had been memorialized, frozen in digital amber. The last post was from 3 years ago, a photo of a sunset over Lake Thornton with the caption, "Perfect ending to summer." 37 people had commented with hearts and crying emojis after she died. Emma scrolled through the comments, looking for what? A clue? A pattern? Someone who seemed too interested, too familiar, too present in Sarah's digital life. She found nothing. Just the usual suspects. Friends from college, co-workers from the restaurant where Sarah waitressed, a few family members. Everyone genuinely shocked and grieving. But then Emma noticed something strange. In the weeks before Sarah died, her posting pattern had changed. Sarah, who usually shared multiple times a day, food photos, selfies, random thoughts, had gone almost silent. Just 1 or 2 posts a week, and those posts felt different, staged, like someone performing the role of Sarah rather than being her. Emma leaned closer to the screen, studying a photo from 2 weeks before the drowning. Sarah at a coffee shop, smiling at the camera. But the smile didn't reach her eyes. And if you looked closely, really closely, you could see something in her expression. Fear? Exhaustion? A shadow. Emma jumped when her phone vibrated. A text message from her mother. "Just checking in, sweetie. Haven't heard from you in a few days. Love you." Emma stared at the message, then typed back, "I'm fine, Mom. Love you too." She hesitated, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then typed, "Quick question. Do you still have Sarah's phone? The one they recovered?" The response came almost immediately. "No, honey. The police returned it to us, but your father threw it away. Said it was too painful to keep." "Why?" Emma's heart sank. "Just curious. Don't worry about it." Dead end. She spent the next 6 hours going down digital rabbit holes. Police reports, newspaper articles about the drowning, Sarah's employment records, medical history, anything she could access legally, and a few things she probably couldn't. And that's when she found the gap. According to Sarah's employment records from the restaurant, she had taken a 2-week personal leave in July, about 6 weeks before she died. Emma had no memory of this. No memory of Sarah mentioning it. No memory of asking where she'd gone. How had she forgotten something like that? Emma grabbed her phone and scrolled through her text messages with Sarah from that time period. July 10th through July 24th, the dates of the mysterious leave. There were no messages. Not one. 14 days of complete silence between sisters who texted each other constantly. How had she not noticed? How had she not asked questions when Sarah came back? Emma's hands started shaking again. And then her phone rang. Sarah, mobile. It was only 9:47 p.m., not the middle of the night this time. Emma stared at the screen, paralyzed by indecision, and then answered. "Who is this? What do you want?" And then Sarah's voice, clearer this time, less distorted. "Emma, you need to remember. You need to remember what really happened that summer. They made you forget. They made everyone forget. It's called the forgetting. They've done it before. They'll do it again. You have to. The files are hidden where we used to. Don't go to the police. They're compromised. Trust no one who..." The line went dead. Emma's apartment felt suddenly too quiet, too exposed. She stood and went to her window, looking down at the street below. Rain still fell in sheets, blurring the streetlights into halos of orange glow. Was someone watching her right now? Her phone buzzed. Another voicemail. This one was 6 minutes long. Emma took a deep breath and pressed play. Emma, it's me. I know you think I'm dead. I know that's what they told you, what they made you believe. But I need you to listen to every word of this message because I don't know how much time I have before they find this phone. The program started in 1987. Black budget, no oversight. They called it Project Tabula Rasa. The goal was simple. Create a system for selectively erasing memories from targeted individuals. Not hypnosis, not drugs. Something more permanent. Something that rewrites the neural pathways themselves. By 2003, they'd perfected it, started using it domestically. Witnesses to classified incidents, whistleblowers, anyone who knew too much. They'd erase the memories and implant new ones. The subjects never knew what hit them. I found out about it by accident. I was working at Grenwald Solutions. You remember, that tech company I temped at junior year of college? I thought I was just filing documents, but I saw things, Emma. Files, project names, budget allocations that didn't make sense. I started asking questions, started looking into things I shouldn't have. And that's when they noticed me. That vacation I took in July, I was taken, Emma. Not kidnapped in the traditional sense. They came to my apartment in the middle of the night. Professional, efficient. Said it was a matter of national security. Said I'd be back in 2 weeks and wouldn't remember any of it. But something went wrong with the procedure. The memory wipe didn't fully take. I started remembering fragments, pieces, a white room with no windows, questions about what I'd seen. A man with a scar on his left hand who kept calling me Subject 847. I pretended it worked. Pretended I remembered nothing. Went back to my normal life. But I was terrified, Emma. I started documenting everything, recording conversations, saving files, building evidence. And then they figured out I was still aware. That night at the lake, it wasn't an accident. I didn't go swimming. They came for me again. I ran, made it to the water, thought maybe I could swim across, disappear into the woods on the other side. But they caught me, dragged me back. And this time they didn't just erase memories, Emma. They erased me. Made it look like a drowning. Probably put a body in the lake, someone who looked enough like me that you'd believe it. The woman you identified wasn't me. They made you think it was. They made everyone think it was. That's what the forgetting does. It doesn't just change your memory, it changes your reality. I'm in hiding now. I can't tell you where, but I've been trying to reach you for months. They monitor everything, calls, emails, social media. I finally found a way to route these calls through their own system. Ironic, right? I don't have much time. They'll trace this soon, but you need to know. You were involved too, Emma. That summer. You saw something, learned something, and they made you forget. Those migraines you started getting 3 years ago, the ones that came out of nowhere, that's a side effect. The procedure leaves traces, scarring in the neural tissue. Some people get migraines. Some get memory flashes. Some go insane. I need you to remember what happened that August, the week before I died. We were together. You came to visit me. We went somewhere, saw something. And that's why they took both of us. The files I saved are hidden in the one place they'd never think to look. Where we used to hide things when we were kids. You know where I mean. Go there. Find them. They'll explain everything. I love you, Em. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. I'm sorry for everything that's about to happen. But you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to. Emma sat motionless, the phone still pressed to her ear, even though the message had ended. Project Tabula Rasa. The forgetting. Memory erasure. It sounded insane. Paranoid conspiracy theory nonsense. The kind of thing you'd read on fringe websites run by people who also believed in chemtrails and lizard people. But Sarah's voice was real. The fear in it was real. And those migraines. Emma had indeed started getting debilitating migraines about 3 years ago, right after Sarah's death. The doctors found nothing wrong. No tumor, no abnormality. Just stress-related, they said. Grief manifesting physically. She'd accepted that explanation. But what if it wasn't stress? Emma stood and walked to her bedroom closet. Pushed aside the winter coats she rarely needed in California's mild climate. Reached up to the top shelf and pulled down a shoebox that hadn't been opened in years. Inside, childhood memories, school photos, friendship bracelets, a plastic ring from a cereal box, and beneath it all, a small key on a faded ribbon. The key to their secret box. When Emma and Sarah were kids, they'd buried a metal lockbox in their parents' backyard. Filled it with treasures, candy, notes, stolen cigarettes they never had the courage to smoke. The kind of thing children do. Their parents had sold that house 8 years ago, moved to Arizona. The new owners had completely renovated the property. But the backyard, the old oak tree in the corner, that might still be there. Emma looked at the clock. 10:23 p.m. She grabbed her car keys. The drive to her childhood home took 47 minutes through rain-slicked streets and late-night traffic. Emma's mind raced faster than the car. What was she doing? Breaking into someone's backyard at nearly midnight to dig up a box that probably didn't exist anymore? Based on voicemails from her dead sister's phone? This was insane. She was insane. But she kept driving. The house looked different. Bigger somehow. They'd added a second story. Painted it a trendy gray instead of the cheerful yellow she remembered. The garden was professionally landscaped now, all clean lines and ornamental grasses. But the oak tree was still there. Emma parked down the street, killed the lights, and sat in darkness, watching the house. No lights on. No car in the driveway. Either the owners were asleep or away. She pulled up her hood and stepped out into the rain. The side gate was locked, but it was a simple latch. Emma reached over and flipped it. The gate swung open with a soft creak. The backyard was transformed. A deck, a fire pit, string lights that swayed in the wind. But the oak tree stood in the corner, ancient and unchanging. Emma approached it, counting her steps from the trunk the way Sarah had taught her. 5 steps north, 3 steps east. She knelt in the mud, the rain soaking through her jeans, and started digging with her hands. The earth was soft from the rain, but heavy. Her fingers screamed with cold and effort. She dug deeper. A foot. 2 feet. Nothing. Maybe the new owners had found it. Maybe it had rusted away to nothing. Maybe... Her fingers hit something solid. Emma dug faster, scooping away mud until she could see it. A metal lockbox, rusted and caked with dirt, but intact. She pulled it from the earth like an archaeologist recovering an ancient artifact. Her hands shook as she inserted the small key. Please still work. Please. Inside, where she expected childhood treasures, there was something else entirely. A USB drive wrapped in plastic, a handwritten note, and a photograph. Emma pulled out the photograph first, tilting it to catch the dim light from the neighboring house. It showed Emma and Sarah together, both wearing visitor badges, standing in front of a building she didn't recognize. A modern glass structure with no identifying signs. Both of them smiling. Emma had no memory of this photograph being taken. No memory of that building. No memory of that day. She unfolded the note. Sarah's handwriting, shaky and rushed. Em, if you're reading this, I'm either dead or disappeared. The USB has everything: video files, documents, audio recordings, proof of what they're doing. I made multiple copies, but this is the only one I know they can't find. You need to get this to someone outside the system. Not FBI, not CIA. They're all compromised. Find an independent journalist, someone with a platform big enough that they can't suppress it. I'm sorry I hid this from you. I was trying to protect you. But now you're involved, whether we like it or not. Trust your instincts. Trust your fractured memories. They'll try to convince you you're crazy. Don't believe them. And Em, there's something else. Something I only recently figured out. We're not the only ones. There are others. People whose lives were erased, whose memories were rewritten. Some of them don't even know it happened. Find them. They're the only ones who can help you now. I love you. I'm sorry. Be careful. S. Emma sat back in the mud, clutching the USB drive, staring at the photograph of a moment she couldn't remember. And then, from behind her, a voice cut through the rain. Ms. Carter, I'm going to need you to hand over that drive. Emma spun around. 3 figures stood at the edge of the yard, dark suits, professional. One of them held an umbrella. Another had his hand inside his jacket. The one in the center, middle-aged, scarred left hand visible even in the darkness, stepped forward. My name is Director Hollis. We've been monitoring your activities this evening. I understand you've received some disturbing communications. I'd like to help you make sense of them. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Why don't we go somewhere dry and have a conversation about your sister? Emma looked at the USB drive in her hand, at the 3 men blocking her path to the gate, at the oak tree behind her and the fence beyond that. And then she ran. Emma didn't think. She just moved, crashed through the decorative bushes at the back of the yard, scrambled over the fence, ripping her jacket on the wood, landed hard on the other side in someone else's yard. Behind her, shouting, flashlight beams cutting through the rain. She ran through 3 more backyards, setting off motion sensor lights and neighborhood dogs. Emerged onto a side street 2 blocks from where she'd parked. Had to get to her car. Had to... No. They knew her car. They'd been following her. They'd be waiting. Emma ducked into the shadows of a large hedge and pulled out her phone with shaking hands. Called the first person she could think of. Emma? Jesus, it's almost midnight. What? Marcus, I need your help. Right now. No questions. Please. Marcus Chen, her ex-boyfriend from college. They'd stayed friends despite the awkward breakup. He lived 15 minutes away. Where are you? Emma gave him the intersection. I'll be there in 10. She waited in the shadows, rain dripping from her hood, the USB drive clutched in her fist like a talisman. Every car that passed made her flinch. Every sound could be footsteps. They were looking for her, right now. Men with resources and authority and no compunction about making people disappear. Just like they disappeared Sarah. Marcus's beat-up Honda Civic pulled to the curb. Emma ran and threw herself into the passenger seat. Drive. Don't ask. Just drive. Marcus looked at her, soaking wet, covered in mud, wild-eyed, and stepped on the gas. They drove in silence for 5 minutes before he finally spoke. You look like you've been digging a grave. Something like that. Emma, what's going on? She looked at him. Marcus. Steady, rational Marcus, with his engineering degree and his logical mind. If I told you, you'd think I was crazy. Try me. And so, as they drove through rain-dark streets with no destination, Emma told him everything. The phone calls, the voicemails, the box, the men in the suits. To his credit, Marcus didn't interrupt, didn't dismiss her, just listened. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Do you still have the USB? Emma held it up. We need to see what's on it. We? Marcus, these people are dangerous. You should just drop me off somewhere and… Emma, Sarah was my friend too. If what you're saying is true, if even 10% of it is true, then we need to know. They ended up at Marcus's apartment. Third-floor walk-up in a neighborhood just sketchy enough to be affordable for a junior software engineer. Marcus booted up his laptop while Emma paced, dripping rainwater on his hardwood floors. Okay, let's see what your sister died for. The USB contained 17 files, video recordings, scanned documents, audio files, all organized with dates and clinical precision. Marcus opened the first video. The footage was grainy, shot from a hidden camera. It showed a white room. No windows, fluorescent lighting. A woman strapped to a chair, electrodes attached to her head. A man entered frame, the scarred hand visible even in the poor quality video. Director Hollis. Subject 731, this is your third session. Previous memory suppression showed 73% retention loss. We'll be targeting the remaining 27% today. Do you understand? Please, I won't tell anyone. I swear. Just let me go. I have a daughter. She's only 6. Please. The video showed the woman's body convulsing, her screams. And then, nothing. Blank expression, empty eyes. Emma felt sick. There are 16 more videos, Marcus said quietly. They watched them all, subject after subject. Different faces, same procedure. Some were whistleblowers, some were witnesses, some were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. One video showed a teenage boy who'd hacked into the wrong server. Another showed an elderly woman who'd seen something at a military base where she worked as a cleaner. Each one was labeled, dated, documented with clinical precision. The 10th video made Emma's blood freeze. Because the subject in the chair was Sarah. You can't do this. I have evidence. I sent copies to… We've already recovered your copies, Miss Carter. All 6 of them. You're quite resourceful, I'll give you that. But not resourceful enough. Don't worry. In about 40 minutes, you won't remember any of this. You'll go back to your life. We'll monitor you for a few weeks to ensure the procedure took. And if it didn't, well, We have contingencies for that. Emma watched her sister's face contort in pain, watched the light go out of her eyes, watched her become someone else. But then, something unexpected happened. The machines began beeping erratically. Sarah's neural patterns weren't following the normal suppression curve. Increase the amplitude. Sir, her resistance is anomalous. The memory structures are reforming almost as quickly as we're— I said increase it. The next file was an audio recording, dated 3 days later. Subject 847 is showing continued memory recovery. Fragments at first, but consolidating. This hasn't happened before. Recommendations? Permanent termination. Stage it as an accident. We can't risk her going public. Approved. Make it clean. Emma's hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold on to the edge of Marcus's desk. They'd murdered her sister, documented it, filed it away like a routine business transaction. There's more, Marcus said softly. One file labeled Carter_e-suppression. Emma's file. And there she was, Emma herself, in the same white room, same chair, same electrodes. But she had no memory of this. I don't understand. Why am I here? Sarah called me, said she needed help, said, Your sister made some poor choices, Miss Carter. Unfortunately, she involved you in her activities. We need to ensure that certain information doesn't spread. You can't just erase people's memories. This is illegal. This is— Emma watched herself convulse, watched herself scream, watched the person she used to be die and become this. The Emma who didn't remember, who accepted the drowning story, who grieved normally and moved on. Emma. Marcus's voice seemed to come from very far away. Emma stood, walked to the window, stared out at the rain-soaked city lights. They took my sister, and then they took my memories of trying to save her. Who am I, Marcus? How much of my life is real? How many of my memories are mine? I don't know, he said honestly. But I know who you are right now. And right now, you're someone who has evidence of one of the worst crimes I've ever seen. Someone who can stop this from happening to other people. Emma turned to face him. They'll kill us, just like they killed Sarah. Probably, Marcus agreed. Unless we move faster than they expect. What are you thinking? Marcus pulled up a browser window. I'm thinking we upload these files everywhere. WikiLeaks, every major news outlet, every journalist and blogger and activist we can find. Flood the zone, make it impossible to suppress. And then? And then we run, disappear, let the story speak for itself. Emma looked at the USB drive, at the 17 files that documented horrors she couldn't have imagined existed, at the proof that her sister had died trying to expose the truth. Do it. Marcus's fingers flew across the keyboard, opening encrypted channels, anonymous email accounts, routing through VPNs and proxy servers. The files began uploading to dozens of destinations simultaneously. It would take about 20 minutes to finish. They lasted 15. Federal agents, open the door! Marcus looked at the upload progress. 73%. We need more time. Emma grabbed a chair and wedged it under the doorknob. How much more time? 5 minutes, maybe 4. They didn't have 4 minutes. The apartment door exploded inward. Director Hollis entered the apartment with the calm of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Ms. Carter, Mr. Chen. This is disappointing. His eyes went to the laptop, to the progress bar, 89%. Shut it down. No. The word came from Emma, standing between Hollis and the computer. Hollis sighed. You don't understand what you're doing. These files are classified for reasons that go far beyond. You murdered my sister. Your sister was a threat to national security. My sister was a temp who saw something you didn't want her to see. And instead of being human beings, you erased her. Erased me. How many others? Hollis's expression didn't change. The work we do is necessary. Unpleasant, but necessary. You can't possibly understand the threats we face, the things we prevent. By becoming the thing that should be prevented? The computer beeped. 97%. Hollis made a gesture. One of his agents moved toward the laptop. Don't touch it. Marcus stepped forward, phone in his hand, camera recording. We're live streaming this conversation right now. To 3 different platforms. Thousands of people are watching. If you shut down this upload, they'll know. If you hurt us, they'll know. It was a bluff, but a good one. Hollis studied them both, calculating, weighing options. The computer beeped. 100%. Upload complete. It doesn't matter, Hollis said finally. We'll suppress the story, discredit the sources. We've done it before. By tomorrow morning, this will be conspiracy theory nonsense that no serious journalist will touch. Maybe, Emma said. Or maybe this is the one that gets away from you. The one that's so documented, so verified, so undeniable that even your resources can't bury it. Maybe my sister wins. Hollis stared at her for a long moment, and then, unexpectedly, he smiled. A real smile. Almost sad. You know what the worst part is? You're probably right. This is the one that gets away. This is the end of the program. But not the end of the necessity for programs like it. Sleep well, Miss Carter. In 6 months, a year, 5 years, there will be something else. A different name, different methods. Because the world is dangerous. And someone has to do the dark work that keeps it spinning. It just won't be me. He turned and walked toward the door, stopped at the threshold. For what it's worth, your sister was brave. Braver than most. She almost won 3 years ago. And now, through you, I suppose she has. Emma and Marcus stood in the wreckage of the apartment, barely breathing, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It didn't. Marcus checked his laptop. The files were out there, already being downloaded, shared, analyzed. Within 3 hours, they were trending on social media. Within 6 hours, major news outlets were running stories. Within 12 hours, there were calls for congressional investigations. The program called Tabula Rasa officially ended 17 days later. Director Hollis and 6 other senior officials were arrested. Congressional hearings were scheduled. Victims' families were notified. The story was massive, unprecedented, the kind of scandal that toppled administrations and rewrote laws. But Emma felt hollow, because Sarah was still gone, and no amount of justice could bring her back. 3 weeks after the files went public, Emma received one final voicemail. Caller ID? Unknown. She almost didn't listen to it, almost deleted it without playing, but something made her press play. And then, Sarah's voice. Clear this time. No distortion. No fear. Just Sarah. Hey, Em. If you're hearing this, it means you did it. You found the files. You got them out there. You won. I programmed this message to send automatically if the files were ever uploaded to more than 10 public servers simultaneously. Kind of my insurance policy. My way of saying goodbye properly. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to see it. Sorry for all of this. Sorry I dragged you into a nightmare. But I'm proud of you. So proud. You were always the strong one, even when you didn't know it. I hope you can build a real life now. Real memories. Ones that are actually yours. Fall in love. Travel. Be happy. Do all the things they stole from both of us. And Em, when you think of me, don't think of how I died. Think of the good stuff. Remember the blanket forts, the midnight drives, the stupid jokes. Remember the sister who loved you more than anything. Because that was real. That part they could never erase. I love you. I'm sorry. And I'm so damn proud of you. Goodbye, Emma. Emma sat on her apartment floor, tears streaming down her face, and let herself grieve. Really grieve. For the sister she'd lost twice. For the memories that were stolen. For the justice that came too late. But also for the victory. Because Sarah had won. They had won. And somewhere, in whatever comes after, Emma hoped her sister knew it. The phone Sarah used to make those calls was never found. The body, identified as Sarah Carter, was exhumed and DNA tested. It wasn't her. Sarah's actual fate remains unknown. But sometimes, late at night, Emma's phone would ring with no caller ID. And when she answered, there would be nothing but static. Static that almost sounded like breathing. Like someone checking in, making sure she was okay, watching over her. The end. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more cinematic audiobook thrillers. Leave a comment with your theories about what really happened to Sarah. And check out the next mystery waiting for you in the recommended videos. Thanks for listening.